Hello and welcome. Got something a bit different today. We've got a Dremel 300. Now, as you can see, we've got a few parts that it's had replaced. The guy that's owned it has changed the armature, the field windings, and a few other parts that we can see here. That looks like the speed control, mains input connector, brushes, and a couple of other little bits and pieces here that I'm not entirely sure what they are. Now, he's put it back together and it doesn't work, unfortunately. So we're going to take it apart, bearing in mind all these little extra bits that we've got here that we don't quite know where they live, and see what we can see. I have plugged it in and I've confirmed that it is dead. So I think we'll start here with the brush holders. Just remove the brushes as a first point. That way then, as I take it apart, they don't go ping ping everywhere. Okay. The brush and the holder have separated. The brush and the spring have separated. They're plugged back together, no problems at all. I'm just going to have a look at the brushes that have come out. As far as their wear is concerned, there's pretty much no difference as far as the wear level. So let's get into it. It's just a Torx. This particular kit that I'm using, unfortunately, it doesn't tell me what it is. It's maybe a T15 or a T20, somewhere around that mark. Well, I do have an exploded diagram here, which should hopefully aid. There we go. So, does that come? Okay, that unscrews off there, look. Okay, brilliant. Two halves. So, we can see in here, we have our new armature here, and new bearings, new speed controller with the switch on the back of it there, and our new power input module. So I think let's start at the very basic. Just put the meter on beepy beep. And I'm going to start off by putting that on the neutral pin and put that on the phase pin. Okay, just made sure the fuse is okay in the plug because that test wouldn't have worked otherwise. So we are going to get power as far as here is concerned. So I think what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to pop the power cable off and pop it out of the way because it is causing the machine to pull out the way. Just take this grip off. It looks like it's the same screws again. They're a bit longer than the screws that hold the case on, as you can see here. So the nice thing is there's two different screws. Okay. So, does this assembly just literally come apart and lift out? Looks like it could do, yeah. That's caught there, just going to give it a little lift. Okay, there we go. So we've got this little button and assembly here that we've got to make sure we don't lose. That is the chuck lock. Looks like it goes into there. You can see the switch across the back there. So let's pull that apart off here. Take that off there. Okay, that unplugs from the back of there. That bearing comes off there. And that comes off there. I don't expect there to be any issues with these. What I'm just going to do is just check there's a resistance across there. And put this back on auto ranging. Yeah. So there's two sets of coils in here. Give me a second. So I'm just going to check the two sets of coils out. I expect these both to be same, 23 ohms. Come on. .23 ohms. Let's just check that against the old one as well, just for good measures. We know that that's the new part. Let's put it over there. I am just being curious here. .22 ohms. 22 ohms. Well, 22 and a bit, so that's kind of within spec. Let's have a look at the power input board. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that power is getting from here to here. 0, 0. Here to here. 0, 0. So this assembly looks like it's in a single piece. There is one of these in pieces, which is here, but as we can see in this, there's just a speed control. So this plugs into the back of here somehow, out into there and into there by the looks of it, or there and there. So we've got to make sure that that makes a good contact when that's plugged in. So let's have a look on this faulty product or the other product to see if and where they connect. So the one here goes straight down to the armature, so we can check that this pin here is connected to that pin there, and it is, and I suspect the other one, which is this one here, will probably do the same. No, it doesn't, it goes through the switch assembly. So okay, I think our most likely route with this is literally, let's just try putting it back together. So that's identical up and down. I want to make sure they actually all plug in tightly into that. That has. Put the armature back through there. So that will sit into there. Nice, nice. Rubber ring goes on the back there. And then the power unit, we've got to make sure goes into those slots and makes a good connection. It did. Let's do it again and make sure we put it in the right way around. Okay. Come on, go back together. Okay. So that there has all gone back into place. That rotates freely. I just don't see anything that's an issue. Maybe the brushes weren't in quite right. Let's put these back in. It doesn't matter which one's phase, which one's neutral, because it's AC and there's no earth on it or ground. Is it ground that they call it in America? I don't know. It's earth in the United Kingdom. That's where I am. CPC, circuit protective conductor. If this doesn't work, my suspicions are going to be around that little power supply. That goes on like that. So let's have a look at these brushes and make sure that they're actually going in, and more than that, they're making a contact onto that connector. They're not very deep, so they, yeah, I'd say that they're going to do so. Because obviously if the brushes are not making a connection, the motor won't run. This is a universal motor. The power comes in to one of the two armature windings, phase on one end, then the other end goes to a brush, then the other winding goes to neutral and the other end goes to the brush. So the armature is in series with the field windings at all times. So they can slow down. When they slow down, they produce more torque by how they work. Still nothing. Okay. That's my suspicion. Let's get this. This other speed controller, and I'm just going to try and put it back together. So that's going to slide backwards and forwards on there. There's the actual speed control itself. Goes like that on its side, because that slot there goes into there to make the rotary control. Come on, into place. So it has to go into there like that. Then what you do is you drop it on the floor and everything falls back out. You can see here where the one connection from the coils goes to the brushes here, and the same happens on this side. So literally these two diagonals here is where the power gets put to run the motor. And you can even see here in this design that as that's moved backwards and forwards, it goes to the off point there and to the on point there as it moves backwards and forwards. So that has to go into there like that, yeah. Then that goes on there like that. And hopefully we can clip this all back together. I'm just going to make sure that that's activating inside there. It is. So I don't know whether that's right or complete. It looks the same in there. Let's try putting it in place. So all I'm going to do is just lift this out and unplug it from there. Take the brushes out because you can't withdraw the COM while the brushes are in. You can definitely see that made a connection. Now it's entirely possible that this controller is also got a problem. So it's a little bit of a guessing game. So there's the original speed control back in. Put that back in place. Yeah, bring that spring out of the way. That was helpful. Put the spring back. Put that back into there like that. Come on, all go together. There we go. Right, I'm going to just squeeze this together to test it and put the brushes in. If this doesn't give us any life, I'm going to take it back out and I'm going to link it so it runs on full speed to test the motor. But both the coils and the motor themselves tested okay. So let's just put that on the first click and see what we get. So the new speed control's faulty. How about that? Well, let's put it back together and test it all properly screwed down rather than just being held together by hand. Because obviously it sounded a bit rough then. Trying to make sure that sits there in place here. As I put that back in there, we'll screw that on the front. That'll hold that all together for a minute, and then I can start putting the screws in from the back. So I don't know what the original fault was, so I'm not going to put any original commutator or motor back in, but yeah. There we go. Make sure the chuck lock works, it does. And we'll plug it back in and make sure that it actually works again. And now it's screwed back together, it sounds proper. So it turns out the fault with this is this new part that the person brought that owns it. That isn't working. Luckily their original one was okay, so I'm going to take a guess that the actual fault on this was something to do with this, especially as when I'm looking at here I can see that this has been rubbing. But I don't see any signs of it being burnt out. So there we go. That's got the tool working again. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching this, and you can take apart and have a look at your own Dremel Model 300. Please subscribe, etc., and have a look at some of the other stuff. Thank you.